Welcome to the August 19th meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. May we have roll call?
Authority member Ajinian,
Here.
Garpetian, Kasakian, Najarian,
Here.
Parazian,
Here.
Brotman,
Here.
and Chair Asadrian.
Here. And may we have your report?
The agenda for the August 19th, 2025 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on August 15, 2025 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
All right, next.
Next item would be approval of minutes. 4A, minutes of joint City Council and Housing Authority meetings of August 12th, 2025.
I'll move the minutes. Second.
All right, seeing no objections. Next item.
Next item is oral communications. I do not have a card at this time. Oh, I do have a card. Do have a card. It's I have Beth Brooks. Beth, come on down.
Welcome, Ms. Brooks.
Beth, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Oh my God, so much. Okay. According to the scientific poll that you did a few months ago, one of the top two concerns in the city is rental assistance, particularly for low-income seniors and the disabled. I know that the council asked the housing department to put together some suggestions, and when I read the report that's in the next meeting, I discovered that it was just for $2.1 million, $800,000 of which goes to staff. And then that amount of money was divided up into different groups that were, in addition to what the scientific poll said they would like to have, so that you had a utility program, which had really just come from the GWP budget, I believe, and should be out of, okay, you're shaking your head, out of, you know, this little bit that's left, the 1.2 or 3 million that's left, shouldn't have, you know, additions to the fund, you know, to help low-income residents. That should come from GWP, especially if you want rebates, you know, for heat pumps. I think you should also get the money for GWP for, you know, for rental assistance, not from this small pile of money. So my concern is that, is there more money coming? Is there money from the general fund? Is there some idea you could give us in the next meeting? There's a potential of this amount of money. This is the bucket which will come maybe from here. This is the bucket which will come maybe from there. And we will prioritize low-income seniors and the disabled and the elderly, you know, because they seem to be the people who can't go out to work. I mean, if you're able-bodied, you know, I know you could be low income, but you're able-bodied, and you should be able to, trust me, I've been there, you know, more than one job. I've been at the 99-cent store looking for pennies, you know, I mean, that's just, you can do that. I'm older now, so I'm not able to do that. So that's my concern, and what I did also see in those 3 suggestions was one that I think should not be in the rental assistance, to take any money from the rental assistance, which is so small to begin with. The second one seems to involve social services, actually, and education, financial education. I feel that that's much more LA County money. That's almost like a social services program that you could possibly get a grant to fund that, as opposed to just having all of that come out of the rental assistance money, because it seems to be a hybrid kind of a program. And you're using money that could be helped to pay rent to actually have programs to help people get jobs, to help people learn financial literacy. That doesn't seem to fly to me. I think you could get that money from somewhere else because it is such a limited amount of money. Also, the attorney, that would be for $420,000. If that attorney could also work with the Renters' Rights Program, that would also be a boon, and maybe wouldn't have to come out of this pile of money, because you would just hire them to actually, not to represent renters in court. I don't believe in that. I believe there are state programs and there are other things you could get. You know, I got free legal assistance. I believe people can get that help. But I believe that they should be able to at least advise renters when they have problems with a landlord, or what they feel the landlord's, you know, legal requirements are, or landlords are not making repairs. I don't mean building repairs. I mean, you know, things that wouldn't be health, you know, it's taking 4 months to fix something. that it's not a health violation. So those sort of things to be the go-between between the renter and the landlord, that lawyer would be very important for that program because I think that they need, as I've said in the past, enforcement. The renters' rights department needs enforcement. And if you're also going to have 3 employees at $125,000 apiece, I am also hoping that that would be taken out of the rental assistance, and that person could be a hybrid person who would also work within the entire housing department and would get funded from something else like the general fund, so that this money goes specifically to renters who need help staying in their apartments, paying their rent, so that it's totally focused on here's your money. That's what I believe. If you could get that funding from somewhere else, I think that would be helpful. And I just would like to know, what pile of money are we looking at, and what the buckets are. Okay, thank you.
Chair Asadarian, that was the only card, and I have no callers.
All right, next item.
Next item is item number 6, Business Agenda, 6A, Community Development, regarding annual submission of the Section 8 Management Assessment Program self-certification for fiscal year 2024 and 2025. One motion authorizing annual submission of the Section 8 Management Assessment Program self-certification for fiscal year 2024, 2025 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
All right, Mr. Galanian, did you want to do an opener? And then I wanted to ask if my colleagues actually needed a report.
Okay, Chairperson, Sergeant, members of the Housing Authority, I wasn't going to make any comments, but I was going to invite Irina Kasabian, our Housing Supervisor, to present this annual report on the self-certification of the Section 8 program.
Do you need the long report, or would you like
No, a brief report, I think, would be helpful to the community.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Asatian and members of the Housing Authority. My name is Irina Kasabian, and I'm Housing Supervisor for the Housing Division. The Housing Division is seeking your approval to submit the annual Section 8 Management Assessment Program self-certification to HUD, also known as CMAP. CMAP is an assessment that is mandated by Housing and Urban Development, and it evaluates the Section 8 program operations based on 14 key indicators. The indicators measure how well the Section 8 program is operating from a financial and administrative standpoint. Each indicator measures a specific component of the program. For example, waiting list. Do we have a proper method of selection of applicants from the waiting list? Another one is rent reasonableness. Determine reasonable rent for each newly leased contract when there is a rent increase proposal or when there is a fair market rent decrease by 10%. Another one is utility allowances, housing quality standard inspections, and so on. Although we are allowed by HUD to self-certify due to our high performance status, we are audited by HUD and an outside auditor. Only the first 8 indicators are self-certified. The rest are pulled from a centralized database that our agency submits to HUD, and HUD has access to it. The system is called PIC. It's Public and Indian Housing Information Center. Housing authorities are required to submit the CMAP report within 60 days of the end of their respective fiscal year. Once again, we are anticipating on receiving high performer designation by HUD and expect to receive the full 135 points available to us. HUD's maximum possible score is 145. However, at this time, we do not manage family self-sufficiency program, and the 10 points under indicator 14 do not apply to us. After our self-certified submission, HUD and independent auditor will review our report and analysis and hopefully will concur with our assessment that we are indeed a high performer agency once again. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, please.
Thank you for the report, and most importantly, being the high performer again. My question is on family self-sufficiency indicator. Since as of June 2015, no more any families, remaining families, and Glendale is no longer required to administer the program. What's the reason to keep the indicator 14 on the CMAP list?
So these indicators are HUD dictated. It's not formatted by us, so it's set up, like I said, by HUD, and it measures not only our housing authority, but housing authorities across the nation. And if not all housing authorities do have family self-sufficiency program, and therefore if you do not have it, those 10 points, as I said, do not apply. However, 135 pertains to everybody, because that's the main operations of the program. And accordingly, we do get high performer designation based on that 135 points we get.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On the perfect score. Almost. Was it perfect or almost perfect?
Perfect.
Perfect, except for the category that we don't.
Which we don't
qualify
have.
for. So, looking back at the bigger picture, what risks do you see in the upcoming year or two to the HUD funding for the Section 8 program?
Well, the biggest one that we and other housing authorities unfortunately are struggling, and we are impatiently waiting for the finalization of the budget by the end of September this year, is the budget cuts. You know, what the Senate and House is proposing. One is a little bit better than the other one, but again, it's up to negotiation, and let's see what's going to bring to us. But given the past history, and for the last few years, we've been operating based on continued resolution, which means you get pretty much the same amount of money every year, and that translates into less vouchers, right? Because you have inflation, you have rental costs rising all the time, and if you're getting the same amount of money, obviously the allocated voucher numbers are there, but you are not able to serve accordingly.
So, thinking of a worst-case situation where there's a significant cut in the funding, is it a policy decision as to whether we want to lower the amount, the subsidy across the board, or reduce the number of Section 8 recipients? Is there already a set plan for that? Does council and the authority need to weigh in as to what we think would be the most equitable? Or is it not yet time to get in a panic mode, let's say?
Sorry. So it's pretty, like I said, consistent, given we're kind of experienced based on the past year's performance, in a sense of, how much budget we get and what to be prepared for. So yes, we do take everything into consideration, including the payment standards, based on which the rental portions are calculated, right, every year. HUD is publishing fair market rents, based on which we establish payment standards between 90 to 110. So at that point, we have to evaluate and see if there is any possibility to decrease the payment standards and take that cost-cutting measures. Worst case scenario, which we've never done, and we do not want to do it, is terminating the current Section 8 tenants, right? Like I said, we've never done it, and we do not want to go there. But we do take everything else that's available to us, and we consult with our HUD representatives in terms of the plan as to how we're going to go about it and get their feedback.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam. Thank you for your answers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? No? I'll join my colleagues in saying thank you to you and to all the staff that work hard to get us the perfect score.
Thank you.
Coming from a family where I used to get grounded if I got an A-, because my dad thought I didn't try hard enough to get that 100%, which now you know why I ask for the way I ask things around the city. I'm very proud of the 100%, and I think Mayor Najarian was also alluding to some of the federal policy changes that may be coming down. And so we would expect that if there are any indicators of change coming, that staff would bring that to council even ahead of time for us to be able to make some determinations to get ahead of any issues that may arise. Last week thing we want is for there to be cuts, and we're not prepared for it.
Most
So,
certainly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right?
Chair Asadrian, I do have a caller for this item.
Okay.
Fernando Roldan, you have 3 minutes. Fernando, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I want to thank you for talking about this, the whole Section 8 situation. Just a reminder, especially when doing a budget, and I would also like to ask Madam Director on this as well, please make sure that this section of Section 8 also includes, I know you guys do this, but I just want to make sure to remind you guys, please make sure that the budget includes the ability of making sure that our accessible apartments and housing for people with disabilities, especially those using power wheelchairs, canes, walkers, or whatnot. So I think it's also important to make sure this is pointed out. And as usual, those are my 2 cents on that one, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
No more callers.
Are there any further comments?
I'll move
No
the
question.
item.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second. Either way.
Seeing no objections, it's passed. And then what's next?
Madam Mayor,
Adjourn?
sorry, can we get a vote on that?
Oh, do we have to
Yeah.
get it? Why?
Because it requires, under the Brown Act, I believe it requires a vote.
Okay. So
Can't vote by acclamation or
that's why I'm,
I think it's fine. if
maybe
you-
you can, okay.
Yeah.
So
I would just want a clear record, that's
You
all.
want it on the record? Okay. And then maybe you can send us the rules when it applies and when it doesn't. Roll call.
Authority Member Ajinian,
Yes.
Arpetian, Kasakian, Najarian,
yes.
Parazian,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Chair Asadrian.
Yes. All right.
Next item is Authority Member and Staff comments.
Are there any comments?
No comment.
I have one. I was hoping that Councilmember Kasakian would be here, but I had a conversation with him last week. As you may remember, when he was the chair of the Housing Authority, he had brought forth doing a housing summit for the city of Glendale. I know that we haven't had one since that time. I would like for us to organize one in the next year. And my hope is that the housing staff would actually be the ones to oversee that. What I'm looking for is not just conversations with regional partners, including our neighboring cities of Burbank and Pasadena, which was part of the direction that Councilmember Kasakian had given at the time, but also looking at how we're using that summit to do renter rights education for renters, having some sort of discussions on legal and assistance programs that are available, but also I think as we're looking at improving our streamlining and efficiencies, having something with permitting and processes, and we get feedback from, it's not just philosophical discussions, but actually getting feedback from different segments on how we can improve processes. I'm happy to talk to staff in detail on that, but I think it was something that was great, that was started by Councilmember Kasakian, and I would love for us to continue that. That's all I got.
Okay.
And Mr. Garcia, do the council rules apply here? Would I need the item to come back for a vote? So what I don't want to do is, I think one of the issues was it was raised at a time where Councilmember Kasakian was the chair, and he did it as the chair of the Housing Authority. I would love for this to be something that we do on an annual basis, regardless of who's chair and whether they want to initiate that or not. And so with that in mind, that it's not, because as an example, the mayor gets to do certain things during their term, and then the chair does, but I want this to be an ongoing event that we put together. So would that require for this item to come back for us to get votes, or?
Only if it requires, Madam Chair, only if it requires an approval of the council, or if it requires a funding, for example, a funding appropriation. But if it's something that the city manager's staff can work with the chair, then it doesn't need to come back.
Mr. Galanian, how would you like to do that?
Chairperson Satrian, as you noted, we had an inaugural summit during Councilmember Kasakian's chairmanship of the Housing Authority. We weren't able, because of a number of things that we had to take care of, we weren't able to put one together last year. But let me check with staff as to the resources and the funding. I do believe we should be able to accommodate it. If not, then we'll need come back to council for appropriation.
Mayor and council members, authority members, if I can give a quick update. Actually, we met yesterday with some other partners across the city to start assembling a program. Likely, we will come back to council with an update on that so we can make sure that that program fits the vision of the council as well as the housing authority. But we are looking at not only some of the things that you mentioned, Councilmember Satrian, in terms of our partnerships with our excuse me, regional cities or cities around the region, but also showcasing what we've done for housing as well. But by all means, please pass along any additional recommendations, and eventually we will put together a draft program that we'll present to council.
And the intention is to hold these summits on an annual basis moving forward.
So, Mr. Galanian, would it work better if, as chair, and then you and staff, we have a conversation, and then we can see, I can learn about the details of what you're putting together, and then we can figure out if I need to bring this forth in a different matter. I just want to make sure that we're aligned.
As chair, we were planning to brief you once we have been able to assemble a draft plan, a draft agenda, if you will.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Move to adjourn?
Second.